Moving on, India isn't just celebrating its 77th Republic Day today, it is showcasing a paradigm shift in its national security. This is the first R-Day parade since the decisive 88 hours of Operation Sindoor in May 2025, and the flex is visible in every synchronized step. And it's not just us saying it. Swiss study has validated New Delhi's strategy, confirming that during the May conflict, India controlled both the tempo and the ceiling of the confrontation. The Swiss CHPM analysis portrays Operation Sindoor as a conflict in which India rapidly neutralized Pakistan's air defense network, achieved air and escalation superiority, and conducted deep, precise, high-impact strikes, compelling Pakistan to use a ceasefire within 88 hours. So what are the big takeaways? Number one, Indian Air Force achieved air superiority by the morning of 10th May 2025. India conducted long-range precision strikes at will using weapons such as BrahMos and Scalp EG. Pakistan was effectively coerced into requesting a ceasefire once it lost the ability to contest Indian air operations. Pakistan's counter with large-scale drone swarms, missile attacks and attempts to strike Indian S-400 batteries failed. It failed to penetrate India's integrated air defense network, which used radar management, jamming and layered interception. India struck multiple major Pakistani military installations up to 200 kilometers inside Pakistan. Struck bases include, as India has already said, Noor Khan Air Base, Murid Air Base, Rahim Yar Khan, Rafiqi, Sukur and others. These strikes degraded Pakistan's command and control centers, drone hubs, runways and air defense positions. India controlled the tempo of the conflict, ability to escalate or de-escalate at will, which is referred to as escalation dominance. Pakistan claimed it shot down 6 Indian aircrafts. Visual evidence, this report says, is there only for 3. So there is one more validation of India's success during Operation Sindoor coming in. Lieutenant General KGS Dhillon, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army, is joining us. So one more validation of the success of India's Operation Sindoor after several reports, international experts backing India's achievements and effectively countering Pakistan's narrative about the extent of damage it claims to have caused. What do you think? Is there any debate left now of what Operation Sindoor was able to achieve?
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening to your viewers. First of all, India does not need anyone's validation, or we do not need a third-party proof, because we have adequate proof with us and we have shown it to the world. We have declared it to the international media in forms of satellite imagery, in forms of images on ground, in form of videos recorded by Pakistani citizens, and many independent accounts, which are very clearly visible that what India has done and what India has claimed is actually the truth on the ground. However, the Swiss report, which has just now come in, is only authenticating or revalidating the points which you already given out. I wrote about it in my book in August 2025. All the details of Pakistani casualties have been given out, threadbare by everyone, with proof and evidence. Whereas, as you very rightly said, from Pakistani side, the propaganda is without any basis, without any proof, without any evidences. Pakistani Prime Minister, immediately after Operation Sindoor, in Pakistan claims that Pakistan has shot down 5 Indian aircrafts. They call it 5-0. He goes to Turkey after that, he makes it 6-0. He goes to United Nations a few days after that, much after the war was over, he makes it 7-0. Now, how do you believe such people? And there is not a single evidence which they share, and this Swiss report is backing what our claims were and which have been accepted.
So a lot of people would be wondering that, despite substantial native evidence, international corroboration of India's actions, why is it that certain quarters, both at home and internationally, seem intent on running down India's successes? Why do they appear unwilling to accept our facts over Pakistani propaganda?
There were 2 important factors. Good you ask this question. First is, I'll take the people within India who are wanting to run down India's claims or India's success. It is all politics going on there. I hate to use this word, I never comment on politics, but when it comes to national security, someone must say it. Internal politics, you do anywhere other than the national security. It's acceptable. The people who are, not believing or questioning these claims or this truth, are all based on their political agendas, their political biases, and their political affiliations. I think that's the most unfortunate part of a democracy like India, where freedom of speech, freedom of expression is total. Having said that, the external, the numbers which I said 506070, actually they do not originate from Pakistan. They originate from the weapons lobby of the West, China, and Turkey. It was for the first time in the history of the world, if we don't count the Kargil operation as a nuclear overhang war, first time in the history of the world, two nuclear powers came to war with each other. And it was first time in the history of the world, not a single soldier or a tank or a gun or any piece of equipment crossed the line of control or an international boundary for the 4 days which the war took place.
Right.
On one side was the weapon array of Chinese drones, Chinese missiles, Chinese aircrafts, Turkish drones, F-16s, and Western Bloc inventory of weapon systems. On the other side, that Indian side, were Indian weapon systems, Indian joint venture weapon systems like BrahMos, Russian weapon systems like S-400, and French weapon systems like Rafales.
Rafale, yes.
Now, the whole world was watching in real time. In actual war, these weapon systems were being tested against each other. Otherwise, the weapon trials happen in ideal conditions or weather conditions of different nature. Here, the weapon trials were happening in actual. When the opponent is also firing the actual weapon, then you are firing.
Yes.
And after this 4-day war, the way India destroyed Chinese weapons and Chinese systems and the Turkish and the other Western Bloc, if the Western countries were to declare India the outright winner, all the weapon orders from the third world countries and the developing countries, the countries who buy their weapons, all the orders will dry out from the Western Bloc and the Chinese weapon system and Turkish, and they will all fall in the lap of India, France, and Russia.
No, but having said that, is it true then after the truth has come out, everything has become crystal clear, has it affected the Chinese and Turkish weapon or military equipment market then?
Ma'am, this weapons lobby or the weapons market or weapons sale and purchase happen, one, on the quality of the weapon. Second, it happens on the cost of the weapon. Third is on the payment schedule and the interest which are connected with it. And then comes the international diplomacy. All these tariffs and threats and coercions also play a role in weapons lobby. The countries who will actually coerce a third world country to buy their weapons if they want to be friends with them. So it's a very dirty mix out there.
Okay.
Now, having said that, why would anyone believe our claims? Now, that is the more important point. And when it is victory, in the olden days, it used to be the territory captured or the prisoners of war taken. Like in 1971, we captured the whole of East Pakistan. We had 93,000 Pakistani prisoners of war. So outright, India was a winner. In this war, no territory was captured, no prisoners of war taken because no one crossed the line of control or international boundary.
Yes.
So how do you define victory? Now, I will tell you how we define victory, or your viewers. On the 7th of May early morning, when we hit 9 terror targets, and as per Pakistani claims, as per Pakistani minister saying that they had known 4 days before that India is going to attack. Now, if they had 4 days of warning period, and still all our missiles and rockets hit the intended 9 terror targets, they could not intercept even one, in spite of a warning of 4-day warning period. Now, that is victory. When we hit the target, like for example, Bahawalpur Subhanallah Mosque, we knew they're sitting inside the basement. We fired a weapon system which penetrated the tomb or the dome, which penetrated the floor. It went into the basement and exploded. That is where Masood Azhar's family was killed. Now, if that is the type of intelligence we had, and that's the weapon system we had, and that's the precision with which we engaged, now that is victory. When after 4 days, when Pakistan tried to attack our military installations and tried to kill our civilians, and none of their missiles or drones could hit the intended military targets, we could intercept each and every one of them. Now that is victory. On the 4 days when we hit the 11 air bases, in spite of 4 days war, and still they could not intercept even a single missile of ours. We hit their air bases, and the air marshal, retired air marshals, they confessed on television that yes, the BrahMos came and hit our AVEX on Ballari airfield. Now that is victory. And when at 3:35 on 10th of May, 3:35 p.m., their Director General Military Operation calls up Indian Director General Military Operation and begs for ceasefire. Begs for ceasefire. Now that is victory. When we accept that plea for ceasefire, in
Yes.
spite of being in a position to hit Pakistan militarily and economically more, when we accept the ceasefire as a respectable democracy, as a respectable nuclear power, now that is victory. Now, in terms of what is the definition of victory, this is how the modern wars are fought. But having said that, propaganda and narrative building is going to be part of the game for any future war as well. Now, that is where they are relying more, putting more efforts of theirs.
Okay.
Whereas on ground, they are devastated and vanquished exceptionally without a trace of what they propagandize.
I leave it at that. Lieutenant General K.J. Dhillon, thanks a lot for joining us and putting this into perspective. Time for a break. The Right Stand with Anand Narasimhan is coming up next. Stay with us.